Okay, welcome to Brains. My name is Kingsley Agoje. So today we'll be talking about HTML ID and class. Okay, now if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, ensure you do that. Just click the button subscribe. Then after watching the video, you can comment, like, and then share. Okay, so let's go to our Sublime Text and talk about HTML class and ID. So today we'll be answering some questions, some basic questions on what a class is, okay, then why do we use classes, when do we use classes, and how to use classes. Now the last question is very important. Okay, so now I'll start with what is a class. Now class is an attribute. So in case you don't know what an attribute is, I would suggest you go back and watch my video on HTML attributes. So class is an attribute that is used to specify a class for an element. Okay, so we have what we call the class attributes. Okay, we have what we call the class attributes. Now multiple HTML elements can share the same class simultaneously and what individually. When you say simultaneously, when you use the word simultaneously, you're talking about doing a particular thing or more than one thing at the same time. Okay, doing two things or more than two things at the same time. Okay, so now basically we are using class to style elements. Okay, that means more than one element. Okay, multiple elements. So we are styling multiple elements together by simply giving them what a class. Now let's go to a live scenario. Let's go to a school environment whereby we have classes. All right, whereby if you're in Africa, you used to, or you're in Nigeria, you're used to GS1 to 3 or SS1 to 3. Okay, now that's a class. That's a class name. Do you get it? So now in a class we have number of students inside. Okay, we have number of students inside the class. So students are grouped into classes. Do you get it now? So when you're inside a class, you just know that okay, this class is made up of students of GS1 students, or GS2 students, or GS3 students. Okay, so that's the way of grouping students. Now let's come back to programming. We use classes to group elements together for a single reason, for a single purpose, that is for styling. Okay, for us to style them together instead of styling them individually. Now for instance, I want to style some group of elements and I want them to have the same styling. So instead of me doing them separately, I can just create a class and give them that class attributes. Do you get it? Okay, you don't get it now, you get it soon. All right, now let's write some code. Let's say for instance I have h1 tag that has Kingsley, then I have another h1 that has Kelvin, then I have h2 for instance that has Stewart. Okay, then I have another h2 that has Kings. All right, we are having 4 elements here. All right, now when you open it on the browser, they are not styled yet. Okay, we'll just see something that is not styled. All right, let me save and open it on the browser. Meanwhile, I have to take away this guy. Okay, so let me save and go to our browser and see. So back to our browser, we are still seeing this. When I refresh, we are seeing Kingsley, Kevin, Stewart, and Kings. Now we want to style them. We can decide to style them separately, okay, by giving them different styles. All right, but we don't want to do that today because why? I want to teach you how to use class to style group of elements. So what I want to do, I will give them a class, all right, and style them. Do you get it? Okay, so let's go to our Sublime and see how to do that. Back to our Sublime. So we have h1, h2, okay, Kingsley, Kevin, Stewart, Kings. All right, so how do we style these 4 elements together? So now I can decide to put them in a container, a division container, which is div. Div means division, okay? div means division, and is a container that holds other elements, okay? So now I've wrapped them inside this container. That's not enough for us because I've not done any styling, okay? So what I want to do is I want to group these guys and into a class. So I will use the class attributes, okay? Now I'll give them a name. So let's say all of them, they are developers. I will say developers. That means they all belong to class developers, right? So they are all developers, for instance, okay? That is a class. Do you get it? So I call it they are all developers, and the class name is what? Developers. Do you get it? So I've grouped all of them to be what? Into a class of what? Developers. For a particular reason. That means the reason is I want to style all of them together. I want all of them to have the same styling, okay? CSS styling. So now I'm giving it a class. So what I will do, I will go to my, now for beginners, let me just remove this and start over again. So what you do, you go to the edge tag, then you use the style tag, right? Now inside the style tag, for you to style a class, you will need the class name, which is developers, but you can't just write it like this, developers, and just start writing. It's not going to work, okay? You have to start, you write dots first, then developers. See, that's changed color. Do you get it? So it has to start with a dot. So without a dot, it's not going to work. You have to be dots developers. Now that was how to write, that was how to select your CSS classes. Do you get it now? You have to start with a dot, then the name of the class, dot name of the class, okay? This is the syntax. This is the syntax. The syntax is dot class name, okay? Do you get it now? The class name can be anything, so dot class name, okay? So yeah, in our case now, the class name is what? Developers. So let me take credit that guy. Now, so what I want to do, I want to give them a background color of black, okay? So the background color will be black. Then I want all of them to have the same color, which is what? Let's say red. Now when I save this, okay, H1 Kingsley will be having what color? Red. Kevin as well, red. Stewart red. King's red. And background color of what? Of black, okay? Now I'll be able to style all of them together. Do you get it? Now let's see it in our browser and see. So go back to our browser. Now back to our browser, nothing has worked, okay? So when we refresh, you can see. So Kingsley, Kevin, Stewart, Kings. Now let's make it beautiful. Let's try and put our text to the center. It's not centered yet. So let's use the text align center. Okay, so it is centered now. It should be centered now. Alright, so going back to our browser, so when we refresh, they are now centered. So I'm able to style. Then what's common here is that they all have the same background color, and the color is what's red. So I was able to style them together. Do you get it? Now I can decide to create another element, okay, and also style it. I can decide to create another element. Let's say H3. Okay, let's say Esther, H3, let's say blessing. So I have what? Two elements that are outside this class. Now I can decide to give blessing this class. When I give blessing this class, what happens? Blessing, this H3 element is going to have what? It's going to inherit the styles, okay? Because we are not having the same class, all right, it's going to take the style that are here, and blessing will now have what? Background color black, color red, then the text will be what centered. Now when I save it, what happens? So though blessing is not part of this, it's not inside this div, because I'm using this class name for blessing, automatically blessing will have the styles here. So even if I want to style 200 elements, okay, I can use this class as well to style them. Okay, do you get it now? So they all will have what the same styling. All right, depends on what you want to do. Do you get it now? So this is it. Okay, so let's go to our browser and see the effects. All right, you can see blessing. This is blessing. Okay, and Esther is not styled yet. Do you get it now? So that's style, that's class. So let's create another class again. So go back to our Sublime. So let me quickly create another class. Okay, so another class for Esther. So let's say class cook. Okay, let's say class okay, she's a female. Class female. Okay, so she's a female, right? So now when I want to style this, I want to do dots. Don't forget dots. Female, which is the class name. Then I will do text align. Text align center. Text transform capitalize. Background color green, then color white. So when I save this, Esther is going to have these styles, okay, because I use the name, the class name female, and these are the styles. Okay, so let's go to our browser and see. Okay, nothing is working yet. So when I refresh, you can see Esther. This is Esther. So this is the style for Esther. That's what we did. So this is class female. This is for what? Class developers. Do you get it now? So that's how to use classes. Do you get it? So we can use them on an elements, okay, and we can group elements together and give them what? A class. Do you get it now? So when you want to style multiple elements, you can use what? Classes. Now let's go to ID. Okay, let's go to ID. All right, so what are IDs? Just like the way we don't have the same fingerprints, okay, we have different fingerprints. So ID is used towards, like what he said here, said the ID attribute is an attribute, okay, that specifies what? A unique ID for an element. The value of the ID attribute must be unique within what? The HTML document. Now what's the meaning of that? Like I said earlier, we don't have the same fingerprint. That means if we want to do something uniquely or special, okay, we want to work with anything special, for instance, we want to style an element separately or specially, or want to make an element to be unique, you give it an ID. And most times we use it for what? Not only for styling as well, okay, but for your level, I would say for styling. Okay, so if I want to, let's say I have some elements, let's quickly read some elements. He is a good developer. H2, I love coding. Programming is about thinking and not typing. All right, we have three elements. So if I want to style them separately, okay, I will give them an ID. So I say ID, the ID attributes. So I will give this good. You can call it any name you want to call it, okay. If it doesn't give, if you are not calling it good, that doesn't mean to not work, okay. So I'll give this I'll give this love. Then I'll give this last guy, I'll call it programming. So now I want to style these three elements together. I want to style them, not to style them together. I want to style them uniquely. I want to style them specially. So I've given them what? An ID. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go to our style tag. Inside it, we'll call the ID. Now, when we want to style an ID, we use hash ID name. Okay. So you don't use dot, you use hash. Okay. So now I'll take away this. Okay, that's the syntax. All right. So now we have good. I can remember we have good. I want to start the first one. Good. We have good. We have programming. Okay. We have love. We have love. We have programming. Programming. All right. So very quickly, background color of pink, that's white, that's for female. Padding of 10 pixel, text align center. What do I want to do? Let me give it a border radius of maybe 6 pixel. So instead of typing this again, I can just copy because of time. I can just copy, Ctrl C, then Ctrl V. Okay, then what's Ctrl V. So I will just change the background color. I can change this to purple. I don't know, I'm using kind of white colors this way. Okay, then orange. Okay, so now these IDs have what? Different styles. Okay, do you get it now? So when we go to our browser, you save, go to our browser and see the effects of what we've done. So nothing has changed yet, but when we refresh, we have this. It's looking fine. So this is what we have. All right, so he's a good developer. I love coding. Programming is thinking. It's about thinking and not typing. So that's how to use ID and classes. Do you get it now? So we want to style something differently. Now let me also show you something. Now the class that we have before, okay, we can also style an element separately. Okay, let's have to style Kingsley uniquely. So I can give it a special. I can give it an ID of special. Those is inside this class. We can still take what? The ID. All right. So Kingsley special. So I want to style Kingsley specially. So what I will do is, let me just copy this styles. This. Okay. Then I will change the name to special. When I change it to special, it's going to be styled specially. Alright, now the ID name is special, so because I gave it special here, so we'll save and go to our browser. Nothing has changed yet, so I have to refresh. So we'll be looking at Kingsley. So Kingsley has changed. Do you get it now? Though it's inside a class, alright, that doesn't mean you cannot style it, you cannot give it an ID. Okay, so I've styled Kingsley separately from what? Kevin, Stewart, and what? Kings. Do you get it now? So So that's for ID and class. So let me do a recap of everything. Now, we said a class is used whenever we want to group, whenever we want to style multiple elements together. We can use a class. Now, we want to style an element separately or uniquely or specially, we make use of what? We give it an ID, okay, to make it different from others. So, and you saw what we did with it, right? So that would be for now, and this how to use ID and class specially. Okay, so if you love this video, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to like. All right, so thanks for watching and see you in the next video.